All right, there we go. So this will be a lot better. Now you'll be able to see everything that we're going to be talking about today, which is creating an online presence so that you can get students from different time zones. Okay. You can also be able to get it so that you are working more daytime hours, so you don't have to work all evenings. And I think this is really critical and key because when we start tutoring, when I first started tutoring, I thought inside of my mind, oh my gosh, I'm going to have to work all the weekends and evenings, which is like the time that I spend with my family. And this sounds like absolutely redonkulous because why would I want to work at all the times where I can actually spend time with my family and the people that I love and not really be present for them? Right. So it was actually something that kind of turned me off from tutoring in the earlier stages when I began thinking about it. However, as I've started to work with my own homeschool students and I've worked with students from all over the world, I have had the opportunity to end earlier in the night and completely get rid of working weekends. I no longer work on Fridays, Saturdays, or Sundays with my students. I work Monday through Thursday, and I am able to have a six-figure business doing that just with my tutoring business. And I think that's really important. It is important to know what level or what stage you are at inside of your business. So I have a free quiz and game that is set on up. You can go to onlinetutorcoach.com/game and you can figure out exactly what your level is in the tutoring world. We have three different stages in the tutoring world. We have the startup stage. This is level 1 and level 2. We have the growth stage. This is level 3 and level 4. And then we have the scale stage, which is level 5 and level 6. At level 1 and 2, you're really getting started. You're putting those beginning pieces in place into your business. And that's not when we're really going to be utilizing this particular strategy that I'm going to be talking about, because you do need to already have somewhat of an online presence set up. Like you need to have a website, you need to have some social media accounts up and going. So this is a growth stage at level 3 and 4. And this is where I'm like, I really want to be able to get students from all over the world. I want to be able to make more money with my tutoring business. I'd love to be able to replace my full-time income with tutoring. This is the stage where all of this is perfect. So if you want to know what stage you are at, you can take the quiz. It's less than 1 minute. You find out if you're at the startup, growth, or scale stage. And then from there, you find out, are you level 1 or level 2? And then from there, I do something that's super spectacular for you. I will be giving you a checklist of what are the things that you need to have in place for that level. So a lot of times tutors have always told me, Joanne, if I just had a checklist that specifically told me what it is that I needed to do at this level, that would be so helpful. All right. I was gonna say, I'm hearing some, oh, I think that was my PowerPoint that was making noise on my side. All right. I was just hearing like these weird noises all of a sudden. All right. So you want to know what level you are at. And if you're at level 2, you're going to get the checklist for level 1 and 2 to see if there's any gaps or things that you're missing. If you're level 4, you're going to get the checklist for level 1, 2, 3, and 4. So you can see if there are any gaps and things that you're missing. So I've really tailored it to wherever you're at specifically in your business, but know that this is a growth strategy when you really think about creating an online presence for your business. So, who am I? I'm Joanne Kaminski. I currently have 1.4 million views on YouTube. Maybe you have seen my YouTube channel where I share lots of different tips, suggestions, strategies, things that you can do so that you can be able to make more money in your tutoring business. You may have also seen my book, How to Start an Online Tutoring Business, Making 4 to 5 figures a month. A lot of people think, well, what does 4 to 5 figures a month mean? It means making like 4 figures would be here in the US, $1,000 or $4,000 or $9,000. 5 figures would be 10,000, 11,000, 12,000, and it's possible. A lot of people are like, there's no way that's possible. It is possible. And you don't even have to have a team in order to be able to make that kind of money. I've also have run the Impact Conference. We're going to be holding Impact 4 in uh, August, at the end of August, last weekend in August. So you'll get to see lots of great speakers who are going to be sharing about how to make more money inside of your online tutoring business. And Impact stands for Inspirational, Motivational, Academic Conference for Tutors. And I am personally a level 6 tutor. I make over $20,000 a month. I have no tutors that are underneath me currently right now on my team, and I have really built in each of these things that I'm talking about. I have built them inside of my business, so I know that they work. And I've also gotten to see over the last 10 years all of the mistakes that tutors make along the way and what is holding them back from being able to get the results that they want. So I know at level stage in 3 and 4, you're starting to get overwhelmed when you start to get to the stage because you're like, oh my gosh, there's so many things I need to do. How do I keep marketing my business and working with my students, right? There's this balance that's happening along with just living an everyday life with my family, right? And so we're really starting to feel that like tug of war beginning to happen around, stage 3 and 4. And we start thinking, oh, I'm not really good at like managing my time and all of this. This is going to help you if you follow the strategies that I'm going to be talking about. You'll get to the point like me where you don't have to do any advertising for your tutoring business. You'll build an online presence in the first couple of years, and you'll work really hard at doing it, and you'll do a really great job if you follow my suggestions. And you won't have to continue to market your tutoring business at full speed. Okay, so this is just in the beginning stages that you really need to do this for the first couple of years, and then you can start to really dial it down. You don't have to. You'll find that you have enough clients coming on in, and you don't need to work as hard at being able to get those clients. You'll be getting so many referrals from people that have heard about you or people who've worked with you that you'll continue to have a well-oiled machine. Now, when I got started, you guys, I wasn't on Instagram, I wasn't on Facebook, and I wasn't on YouTube. I had a following of 0. And a lot of people, they'll take a look at me now. They're like, but you have 1.4 million views. I don't do that. I can't compete. And I just think, I started at 0. I built that. I built that from 0, guys. And if I did that, you guys can do that. You absolutely can do that. I had to get out of my shell and I had to be able to do it. In fact, all of my students, they found me in the beginning through word of mouth, through me talking to people, and then those people talking to people. Bandit signs. These are signs that you literally put like into the ground and then you run away because they're probably illegal in half the places where you put them. I put flyers out and I had a sign on my car, a big old sign, not like one of those like magnets. I got a decal on the back of my car that said Skyping Reading Tutor. And I was always amazed at how many students I had inside of my neighborhood. But my neighborhood saw that sign every time they saw my car in the neighborhood, which is why I got them. And they still went online because they knew I did it online. But those things all worked to get students. I was scared every single time I put a sign out. I was scared every time I put a flyer out. I was scared all of the time because I was scared of what people were going to think of me. I was scared. Are they going to think that like I failed at being a teacher in the classroom and now I have to bust my butt at trying to be a tutor? Are they going to think less of me because I went to school and I got this degree and um and now here I am tutoring? I was looking at tutoring as a lesser position at that time in my life. I have to tell you, so I've been in this industry now for 13 years. This is anything but a lesser position. I get to make a greater impact on the students that I get to work with one on one. I get to close the gap faster than I was ever able to do when I was in the classroom. And I make a huge impact on these kids that are struggling with reading. And I wouldn't be able to get the kinds of results that I'm making today if I wasn't able to work with these kids one on one. If I had to follow the rules of the school system and I had to follow every single piece of curriculum that they told me I had to follow, I would not be able to get the results that I'm able to get today for these kids in the short amount of time that I'm able to get them. I'm actually able to close the gap a full year with 8 to 12 hours of instruction. That's unheard of in the school system. Yet it's happening every day. And I wouldn't be able to do that if I didn't step out of my comfort zone and get comfortable with calling myself a tutor and get comfortable with putting myself out there in the online world. It was not easy to put my face on everything, yet you see my face on lots and lots of stuff now. I've got comfortable with it. I'm okay with it. And there are so many students who need tutoring. There are over 1.4 billion kids struggling in schools all over the world. 1.4 billion. Do you think you could work with 20, 30, 40 of those kids and have a packed business? Really, that's all we're talking about. And if you're a sole tutor like myself, you only need like 20 students and you can be making double what you made in the school system. It doesn't take that many. There are even states here in the US that actually offer grants for tutors to work with kids. Indiana, New Hampshire, Maine, Florida, because of the pandemic, they put these systems in place so that people can work with these students. Um, and the tutoring industry is just growing, and it's expected by 2030 to be a $200 billion industry. Now, after 12 years of making connections with people online and creating content, here's what I discovered. People want value. They do not want you putting up your thing saying, "I'm taking on students right now," or "We have 3 spots left." That's not the kind of marketing that they're looking for. They're looking for something where they can connect with people, people that understand what it is that they are struggling with specifically, and how do you help them with that? Now, the hard way, this is what we've been forced to do in the past. We could only get people that were inside of our zip code, right? Because, and they had to be like 30 minutes or so in our around our zip code so that we could work with them. Have to put out flyers or teach at a library or a coffee shop or travel to students' houses. We no longer have to do that. We can totally do everything online. We were also forced to maybe get students from Wyzant or tutors.com or Preply or some of the other companies that are taking 25% commission or even more. Or we had to pay for Google or Facebook ads that would like drain our bank account and not actually turn into students. And we'd also have to give up a lot of our time, which that's part of the upfront costs that we put into our business. So we're going to start with secret number 1. And remember, this isn't like something that you're going to do on day 1 of starting your tutoring business, right? This is something that you're going to do as you go along. Because before you even get to secret number 1, you should have already a niche that you love tutoring. When you have a specific niche that you love tutoring, it opens up so many doors for you. And here's why. If I'm tutoring reading and math and science, let's say, there are going to be resources and tools I'm going to need online. Each of those resources and tools has a subscription, and that adds up. I also have to figure out how am I going to teach this particular thing to this kid? So that means I have more lesson planning time that I have to invest in my tutoring. But when I focus in on a niche, I know exactly what I need to teach, who I need to teach it to, and who I want to market it to. So I specifically work with kids that are struggling with reading in the early ages. So I work with kids that are kindergarten through about 3rd or 4th grade. For the most part, that's my jam. I love working with those younger kids. I know that if I close that gap earlier, I can do it faster. I know that they don't have to struggle as much, that their self-confidence goes up. I know what the parents want. I know that the parents, they want them to go from reading these phonics books that are really hard to go into reading these Harry Potter books. So I can use all of this in the marketing that I do because I really understand this group of parents, right? And what they're struggling with. So just like we find a niche in our tutoring business, you want to find a niche in the type of content that you create. We're not all good at all types of content. And guess what? You are not expected to create every single content out there, no matter what anybody out there in the online world says. You don't have to be blogging and podcasting and doing videos on YouTube and posting on Instagram 5 times a day and putting out Twitter posts. And you do not have to be doing all of that. If you are working way too hard. So you want to start off with figuring out what is your niche? Are you better at writing? Are you better at being on camera and just speaking and being very natural like I am right now with you guys? Or are you really great at talking, but you don't really like to be seen? That'll point you into the type of content that's going to be best for you. If you're great at writing, guess what? Blogging is going to be your best friend. and learning keywords and learning SEO. Those are going to be your best friend in finding clients from all over the world. The second one, if you like being on camera, is YouTube, creating videos. That'll be your jam. And the third one is podcasts. If you like to talk, but you don't like to be seen, then podcasts are going to be your jam. Those are going to be the three different areas that you're really going to want to take a look at for creating this online presence and getting out there so that people know that you exist and people know how they can get in touch with you and they can move forward with you. But we don't just say that by getting on all these things and being like, so I'm taking 3 students right now, right? We come up with content, we come up with ideas. So I'm going to share with you what kind of content can we specifically create. So we're going to start with blogging. And here are the different types of blog posts that you can create. There's lots of different types of blog posts you can create. You can create a how-to guide, show people how to do something step by step. Like I had a parent ask me, how do you get a kid who is struggling with learning their letters? How do you get them to learn how to read? I said, well, first we start with their letters, get some magnetic letters. I created a whole entire how to guide on my blog that shares with them how to teach their child how to read when they're still learning their letters. And I show them exactly what to do. I added photos and pictures inside of there so they could see what does that look like. Um, we talk about, still reading aloud to your child and all of those great things, but I laid it out step by step. Another thing you can do, and this is really great, is do a product review. So, product reviews are fantastic because you want to think about what products would people be using right before they would hire a tutor. So for me, it might be hooked on phonics. Some parents might be like, oh, I need hooked on phonics because my child is struggling with phonics. Well, I can actually do a review of hooked on phonics, share what are the pros, what are the cons, what are other opportunities and strategies that are out there. Is hooked on phonics for everyone? It's not if you're struggling with comprehension, right? It's not if you're struggling with vocabulary, it's not going to be the product for you. But a lot of parents think, oh, my child's struggling with reading, they need hooked on phonics, but not necessarily. So you can go through the pros and cons of that product, and it can lead into, hey, if you're looking for a free assessment or a free consultation, click here. Right. So I'm sharing great content. They would already be looking for a hooked on phonics review, right? This is the stage, this is the product right before they're ready to hire a tutor to work with their child. Another type of blog post is a listicle. So lists are great resources for people to go to one spot to find resources. So you can put everything together in one blog post for them and create a list of things that they would need. Could be lists, a listicle could be other blog posts that you've created and you're pointing them there. It could be products they can buy on Amazon. It could be books that they should be reading so that they can understand how to help their child better. It could be so many different things. You can also create an epic blog post. Now, epic blog posts have 2,000 or more words. So this is like an epic blog post would include absolutely everything on that topic that you specifically want to be talking about. So let's say, is your child a slow reader? Read this to know everything that you need to know about how to improve your child's reading speed. And I would include everything that I could think of that would guide them into how could they improve. And then at the end of the blog post, guess what I'm going to do again? Wait, if you are looking to increase your child's speed and get them reading quicker, faster, click here for a free assessment, right? I can use that as my call to action at the bottom of the blog. I might even throw it in somewhere in the middle of the blog post or, towards the middle or, wherever it seems to fit, I can add that next step wherever it seems important to add it. Case studies are amazing, you guys. So case studies are blog posts that you write specifically about one of your students' journeys through the entire process. And I'd have to say the case study that I wrote about one of my students really got it's gotten a lot of views and it's gotten a lot of clients. So I had this one little girl that was struggling with reading. At the end of first grade, she was listed at the bottom of her class, the bottom 5% of her class. And her mom reached out for tutoring from me. She had heard about me from a friend that I knew from the school that my daughter went to. And she started working with me and she Only worked with me for 3 months because she joined my summer program. And at the end of that 3 months, she went from being at the bottom 5% reading at a kindergarten level to reading at a third to reading at a end of second grade, beginning third grade reading level. Yeah. I mean, she just soared. I was able to close those gaps, find out exactly what was going on with her, and be able to close those gaps. She started off school really, really excited and ready to go. And I was able to then share like some of the reports that I had, and I got permission from the mom. I have pictures of the little girl inside of that case study. You don't have to use pictures of the kids. You can change the name of the child to protect the identity of the child so that everything is safe for them. But I did here have permission to use that child's information and photos and that kind of stuff that really brought, I think, the entire blog post together for an amazing case study. It also brought me more clients just like her, which are clients that I love. So if you think about your ideal student and you have a success story of that ideal student, you'll get more of them if you share that child's success story. You can also create like an expanded definition. So we all have, no matter what you tutor, jargon. Right? So these parents, they're gonna see all this different, like, jargon and stuff that comes on out. What if in a blog post, you explain all of the terms that they might hear from their teachers? Um, Anything that's in the news that is related to what it is that you're doing, can also be a focus. So, here in the US, the ACT is taking on it's either the SAT. I think it's the SAT is taking on a new format. It is actually going to be, instead of, like, the same test for everyone. It is going to um, it's going to be able to take a look at what answers you got wrong and correct, and then give you a question based off that. That would be huge news if I were in the ACT world. So I would definitely want to write a blog post about that big change that's happening and how I'm staying on top of that change. That lets people know that I know what's happening inside of the industry. I'm not this lone island who's like teaching all the old strategies, right? I'm on top of it and I know how to help. So those are some ideas of different types of blog posts that you can create if blogging seems to be your niche of content to create. Next is podcasts. And I do not suggest at this stage of the game creating your own podcast. There are so many podcasts that are out there. And guess what? Those podcasts already have listeners. So you want to tap into people who already have an audience, because most likely you're like me when I got started in the beginning. I didn't have an audience. Remember, I had a zero following. So I began getting on podcasts as a guest and sharing stuff. I mean, I didn't come into tutoring at ground zero level of knowledge. I actually came in with a lot of knowledge. I went to school, got my master's, became a reading specialist in the school system. I had a lot of knowledge to give. So just because I was just getting started as a tutor didn't mean I was coming into this field at ground zero knowledge, right? I was coming into it with knowledge of how can I help kids and what is information that is useful. So I began getting on other people's podcasts who um, already had an audience. Now, there's lots of different types of podcasts to get on. There are teachers who have their own podcasts, and they love listening to professional development podcasts. So if you have something in the area of professional development that you could talk about to get on one of these teachers' podcasts, you're getting in front of a whole bunch of teachers who guess have what? Students. Right? And so they may suggest you then, if they hear this podcast, you're getting out in front of a whole bunch of other teachers who may then suggest you to parents, right? It's not just like, not just the podcaster. It could be the podcaster, but it's the podcaster and then everybody who's listening who has the opportunity to share you if you connect with them in that level. There are often parenting podcasts. So you can get on parenting podcasts. Parents are always looking for, what can I do to help my child, right? And so if there's a parenting podcast, you can look for the different parenting podcasts and say, oh, what would be a good topic for this group here? Look for parenting podcasts for the age of the student that you're specifically working with. You'll notice like some parenting podcasts are for people who have infants and babies. Some podcasts are for parents who have, toddlers. Some are for kids that are in school age. Some are for high school kids. Some are for college level students. Take a look and make sure that your ideal client, when you think about who would listen to this podcast is there. And then you can apply. And I'm going to share the secrets on how to apply in a second. Um, Also, there's expert related podcasts. So I'm in the field of reading, right? So there are podcasts specifically on dyslexia. So I can get onto these podcasts that are geared towards dyslexia and dysgraphia, and I can talk on those topics and give feedback of things that I've seen or give tips specific. There are also homeschooling podcasts. And sometimes the homeschooling podcasts go by the specific type of homeschooling that they're doing. Like there's you've got the trying to think off the top of my head. You've got the eclectic homeschooler. The eclectic homeschooler kind of like picks and chooses from a whole bunch of different types of programs. You have the classical homeschooler. They are using a strategy that's very similar to the way Socrates would have been taught back in his day. So there's all these different types of homeschoolers, and you can look up to see, is there a podcast for those particular types of homeschoolers? You can also do interviews. There's lots of people out there that just want to interview successful people, right? And so you can get on out there and you can share your success story. And who knows, that might not be like specific to, your ideal client, but it's great to be able to get on there. I did this one time, not one time, I did it several times, but this one podcast, I didn't know that the grandma and her daughter had a podcast together. And the daughter was a homeschooling mom, and she happened to have a son who was struggling with dyslexia. Look at that. She didn't know how to help him. We moved forward. And that wasn't even like me just being put out there. That was really the relationship that was being built with that podcaster. So a lot of times we just think about the audience, but sometimes the person who's the podcaster might be the person who could be an ideal client for us. There's also some that are just very conversational, kind of talking about the news and what's up and that kind of stuff. And they'll introduce who you are and point people to your business. There's also panels or roundtables where they get like a crew of people to kind of talk on a specific topic. Or you can even take a look at some of the content that you have right now. If you're looking for, well, what do I talk about? Take a look if you've created any content. Maybe it's even lessons that you've created for your students. What kinds of lessons have you created, right? You could talk about that on a podcast. What is helpful to the specific audience that you want to be able to speak to on a podcast? Now, here's how you get onto a podcast. There's an incredible website called Podchaser. So you're going to find the right podcast you can use Podchaser and you can use iTunes. The nice thing about Podchaser is that when you go into Podchaser, you have the ability to actually choose in Podchaser the most relevant podcasts. There's this thing called pod fade in the whole podcasting world. So pod fade is like when people have this idea that they want to start a podcast, but then they realize how much work it is, and then they only create a couple of episodes, and then they're done. You don't want to find pod fade people. iTunes will show you pod fade people. You want people who are currently creating content and accepting guests. So Podchaser will allow you to put in a filter that will say has created a podcast in the last 6 months. And you choose that filter, you apply it, and then you can see all of the ones that apply. You can also then listen to that podcast and see if it's a right fit. So after you see, are they taking guests? It'll always say like, takes guest speakers. It will say like with guest speaker blank, right? So you know that they take guests. You can listen to the podcast, see if it's a right fit for you. Is there great information being shared on this podcast? If there is, leave a 5-star review. Every podcaster is looking for a 5-star review. Okay. Before you ever reach out, you leave this review and comment. What did you like about their podcast? What did you like about, the guests that they have? Then you reach out to them. You can always find a podcaster's website and find their email. It's very easy to do online. Google has made our lives so much easier. We just type in their name. We can put in podcast, or we can put in, their name. Sometimes their website will come on up, and then you're able to contact them on their website. You write an email explaining why you love their podcast, and then suggest ideas. If they're ask them, are you looking for any speakers, in the next few months? Give them 3 different ideas of what you could speak about. So first in that email, you talk about them, why you love the podcast, what stood out to you. So that makes it look like you've actually like listened to their podcast. You're not somebody who is just like randomly pitching them. Kind of are, but it's just a better strategy. And then wait. You don't want to keep hounding the podcaster. There are lots of reasons why somebody might not get back to you. So I always tell people, look at it this way, that 1 in 10 people will reach back out to you. Reach out to 10, see if you can get 1. Okay? That's the goal. Reach out to 10, hopefully you get 1. You'll get more, I promise. But when you go into it with that mindset, you don't get upset if somebody doesn't respond back to you, or they say they're not taking guests right now, or they're not in a taping season at the moment, or whatever it is that they say. You don't take it personally, like, oh, I shouldn't be doing this, or I'm not good enough, or we allow that negative thinking to come on in and steer us away from the path that we know is going to help us get found. If they do say yes, you want to then follow their instructions. So the podcaster will send you specific instructions on what to do next, and you want to make sure that you follow them. And then, obviously, number 8, you want to show up. Try to be early to the podcast. It will leave a good impression. If you're on time, being late is going to leave a bad impression. So you want to make sure that you are there on time. Remember, you're also building a relationship with the podcaster. And then the last strategy is video. So there's lots of different types of videos to create. You can do a screencast video. That would be like where you're just sharing your screen. You could do a video tips series. You could do interviews with other people. Could even be it could be other tutors. It could be people who are experts in the field. It could be people who are, let's say, like for me, people that diagnose kids with dyslexia. I could interview them on my podcast or on my YouTube channel, and then guess what? They now know that I exist, right? And I'm building a relationship with these people who are diagnosing these kids that have dyslexia, right? And they're sharing, their tips, their wisdom, and I'm building these relationships all over the world. Um, I can also do uh, testimonials from my students. I could have some of my clients come on screen and share what their experience has been like, or the parents can come on screen and share what um, their 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 experience has been like. You can do unboxing videos. It's really cool to be able to unbox new tools when you get them. Like I have, this handy dandy little tablet here. I could unbox this and do a video about that. I've actually done several on these different tools for people. I've also done them on, webcams and those kinds of things. But unbox it, let people know how easy it is to be able to use the tool and all that kind of stuff. Live streams go live right as you do it. Like we're going live stream right into the event right now. You can do this on YouTube, and you can have, you could do question answers. It could be like questions that have been submitted from parents or questions that have been submitted from other people that you can answer on a live stream. Your videos can be based on YouTube SEO. So YouTube SEO works similarly to Google SEO, which is being able to find specific keywords where people will be able to find you because they type those things into the search bar, right? If they type in, they might type in things like, I'm trying to think like they might be looking for reading tutor, a reading tutor an online reading tutor. That's one of mine. But I also like to do product ones, right? So it could be, the hooked on phonics review I could do. Right. And that would be a keyword. First, I would want to first check to see that my keyword can get found and that there's not too much content on it that I'm competing against. So there's a whole strategy to that, but we don't have time to really go into that strategy. But using SEO to be able to get found will really, really be helpful. And then question and answer videos. Question and answer videos are fantastic. They're specifically the types of questions that people are asking you, and you create a video of them. You can even use these on your FAQ page on your website, right? And post them inside of there because you've answered that particular question, and they're questions that people really do ask. Here are some top video tips. You want to make sure that when you are creating a video, you are looking directly into the camera. You want to have your camera needs to be at eye level for you so it looks like you were looking at the person you're talking to. If you're looking down like this, because you're reading something off of a script. People are going to think that you're talking down to them. If you're reading up like this and people are like looking at your chin, they don't like that at all. They like to be looked at directly eye on. Um, you want to have good lighting. You'll notice here I have really good lighting inside of my office. I have incredible lighting in here. I also have a nice background, right? This is not real. This I bought from Amazon. It's a photographer's background, but they actually sell it as like Zoom backgrounds on Amazon. And so I just found one that I liked. So it doesn't matter where I go live because I now am live on so many different platforms. Zoom, Koala Go. If people are interviewing me, they'll use, oh gosh, I can't remember the one that they use all the time that I can't ever figure out how to get my background to work on it. People will use OBS, people will use all these different things. And I was like, oh, all they see is my green screen. Well, now I just have a screen back here that just looks nice, looks professional, looks clean, looks organized. Lots of people still think it's real, which I think is really funny because I think it's obviously not real, but lots of people think that it's so real. Like, your office is always so perfect. I'm like, thank you. I'm just going to take the compliment. You want to make sure you have a quiet, not a quit environment. Sorry for the mistake there. You want to make sure you have a quiet environment that you don't have kids that are running around when you are creating your videos. I would always have to tell my kids, hey, mom just needs 5 minutes here. Just need 5 minutes, okay? 5 minutes, and then you guys can run around like wild child kids, okay? Oh, notice when you raise your hand, it says that I've raised my hand. I have not raised my hand. That would be weird if I'm talking and I raise my own hand. But it notices that, and Zoom will put the little hand thingy up there. Took me a long time to figure that out. Also, prepare what you're going to say, whether you use a script, an outline, and also practice it. In the beginning, you might not be as comfortable with being able to put stuff on out there. So you want to practice what it is that you're going to say so you don't have a lot of ums. Yes, you can edit that stuff out, but you will be annoyed at all the editing that you have to do if you've got a lot of ums and ahs, I promise you. And then you have like this like broken up video that's like a little jerky, and you don't want that. Next is you want to edit out that beginning and the end. So the beginning and the end, there's going to be where you hit record. You like your body will go forward. You're gonna at the end, you do the same thing. You stop the recording. You want to cut that piece out. So don't have that in there. You want to start with, hi, my name is Joanne Kaminski, or obviously whatever your name is. You can also add music at a really soft level to make it seem professional. You want to keep the, if you use something like WeVideo to edit your video, keep it at like a level 1. If you keep it at a level 1, it will be it won't be so overpowering that people can't hear what you're saying. Sometimes people put the music level too high and you're like, I can't even hear what the person is saying because they made that music so high. So take a look, play with it, and see what's right for you. But it's really low. Like out of 100%, you could have level 1, 2, 3, or 4. But if you go above that, all of a sudden you're going to realize that the music is overpowering your voice. You want to create an SEO friendly title. So that SEO keyword that you ended up finding, you want to make sure that's in your title. You want to make sure that's in your description, and you want to make sure that inside of your video, you actually say that those words. And then you also want to recommend on YouTube, if you do have a YouTube strategy, other videos for them to watch. There'll be an ending screen that you can add inside of YouTube, and you can actually put two videos for them to watch at the end. And that's pointing them to other content they might like. That's your content before YouTube gets the opportunity to suggest all of their stuff. So you get dibs on referring them to content. So you can create that as well and get them to stay on your channel just a little bit longer, which helps your ranking for your channel go up a little higher. Know that when it comes to creating content, quality is trumps quantity. Okay. Take your time to learn one. Don't try to be a blogger, a YouTuber, and a podcaster all on one go. Right after you like end this session today, like I'm going to do them all because I can get students from all over the world. Start with that niche. Start there. Start with what you're good at. Then you can begin learning all of the other ones as time goes on. Quality will save you energy. Quality is going to give you more knowledge, and quality is going to leave you less distracted. If I have to figure out like, oh, how I'm going to create this into a blog post now that I've got this content, and oh, now I want to create an image so I can share it on social media, you're going to get distracted. Yes, you want to share your content that you've created so people can know that it exists, But if you're trying to like repurpose it without already have created a significant amount of content already, you're going to become frustrated. You're going to be even more overwhelmed. And that's why I have the Insider Secrets Club to help guide people as they create content. Now, secret number 2 is to learn the secrets of getting on top 5 searches in organic listings in Google. I am known as the online reading tutor. You'll find me at the pretty tippy top. There's a few others that are right before me. But this is all the organic traffic. And I do not do a lot with my website to get here. I did in the beginning, but I do not now. So I continue to stay there. There is some SEO terminology that's important to know. A short tail keyword is like fluency. If I say fluency and I just type that into the computer, into the search bar, I'm going to get so many results. There's absolutely no way I'll ever be able to compete against it. So if I think specifically more like how to get your kid to be a faster reader, that would be a long tail keyword. And I can look that up in a tool called Ubersuggest or Keywords Everywhere and see how many people are using that keyword. How can I get my child to read at faster? They'll also give you suggestions of other keywords to use and if they have anybody looking for them each month. So you know if the keywords that you're using are actually getting used. I had a guy scam me out of $1,000 one time. He said that he could get me on page 1 of Google. And I was like, yeah, who doesn't want page 1 of Google, right? What he didn't tell me was that the keywords that he helped me find, nobody was searching for. I just thought he knew what he was doing. I put my trust and I put my faith in him. I will no longer ever put my faith in somebody's faith in somebody who says that they can get me on page 1 of Google because I know how to get on page 1 of Google now. I know what it takes. I know if a keyword is a keyword that people are actually typing in. I know if the keyword is something that has too much content or not enough content that I can actually get found for. If there's too much content, I'm not going to get found. I'm going to be so low on the rankings on Google that nobody will find me. So search engine results page tells you how many results exist. Organic means that you don't pay. Okay, so no Google ads. All the type of advertising that I do, you guys, I have stayed away from all paid advertising because when I have dipped my toe into them, I've lost money. And I don't want that to happen to other people. So I am adamant about learning how to do these strategies for myself. If I want to teach somebody else afterwards and hire them and teach them how to do it because I know how to do it, that's different. But to just hire somebody and have them just, tell me everything I want to hear, but not actually do what it is I need them to do, I'm not interested in that anymore. You'll see the word backlinks. You want to have backlinks on that point to your website. So that's other websites that point to your website. And then also backlinks are you pointing to your own content on your website and other people's websites as well. So those are backlinks. And there's 2 types of backlinks, no follow and do follow. No follow is like Facebook. If I put a link inside of Facebook, it's a no follow link. That means it's not getting any juice, it's not getting any love. Do follow means that it could get found on Google. So when people type in the search word, what you've put in there, it could get found. And there are lots of websites out there that have do follow versus no follow. There's on-page SEO. You'll hear the word algorithm. The algorithm is always changing. You've heard that probably. It is, but there's only like 3 or 4 things that you need to do in order to get onto page 1 of Google, onto that first 5 spots. And engagement. Engagement, that means people are actually liking, sharing, or commenting on your content. And all 3 of those things you want them to be able to do. So that's all information that's important for understanding SEO. And I go into the more and more details as people begin to work with me. You do have website and content SEO, and I know we're running out of time to go into more details. I mean, you guys, I could just talk, I think, for an entire 10 hours on all of the things that you could do to be able to get found. But by just sticking to these 3 different basic strategies of, okay, just choose blogging, You already have your website up. Choose blogging, choose podcasting, or choose video. You'll find that you'll be able to point people to your content who will then get excited to be able to work with you guys. And I want to be able to take any questions that you guys specifically have if we have time. Do we have time, Hannah, for any questions?
Is everyone happy for a 5-minute overlap to ask all those questions? I see lots of nodding heads. Yes, absolutely. We'll go over by 5 minutes. Just don't tell Julia.
Yeah, collaborating with others, build relationships with other people. Just like you're reaching on out to podcasts, you could reach out to people who have websites. So you could say, "Oh, I noticed that you have content about blank, blank, and blank. You have some really great content on there. Would you ever be interested in collaborating where I could share a link to your website and you could share a link to my website?" So it's a very similar strategy to the podcasting one that I talked about before. A real background or virtual? It's neither. It's just a fake canvas. Do 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 do.
Does anyone have any questions they'd like to ask live rather than scrolling all the way back through a gorgeous chat, may I say? Just go ahead and unmute. First come, first served.
Hi. Hi, Joanne.
Hi.
Thanks for that. That was great.
Yeah.
Oh, it's just gone. Oh, no. You checklist, you know, your game you said at the beginning, and you send a checklist. I'm
Yes.
okay staying at level 3, 4. I'd just like to be better at it.
Yeah.
Because your checklist would help me do that. I don't want to progress.
Yes.
I've got other things going on in my life, and I don't want to be a tutor in this. I just want a certain amount of money from tutoring.
Yes. Yes, and that's exactly where I was at when I got started. I was like, I just want to replace my income. And so I was a level, like I wanted to be like a level 3 or 4 tutor.
Yeah.
And that was my goal when I got started. I was like, look, if I can replace my $50,000 income, like that will just make me happy. And I'll be able to run my family and do all the things that I need to do because I'm a busy mom. So yes, it is not everybody's goal to get up to a level 6.
Yeah.
So take a look. If you take the quiz, you'll be able to see, okay, am I a level 1, 2, 3, or 4 tutor? And then from there, if you're a level 3 tutor, take a look at, is there anything that you're missing? You want to find your own gaps, just like we do for our students. Are there any gaps in my knowledge? Are there any gaps in what I could do to make sure that everything starts getting on an automated system? Because by level 3 or 4, I really would like more things to be automated and have to take my hand out of a couple of the things like invoicing and those kinds of things. I want to make sure that everything goes smoothly, but that I don't have to always be the one who is making sure that is doing it in order for it to get done. Same thing when it comes to like my website and putting content out there. I want to create like a content plan so that I create this content, like make a goal to create content for a year or 2 so that that content can continue to get found. I just had somebody who told me that they found me on YouTube. They emailed me yesterday. You guys, I have not made a YouTube video about my tutoring business since like 2014, but they found me. Right? So they found me on YouTube from something that I like created how many years ago? Right? So if you just put like 1 or 2 years on into this content strategy, you're setting yourself up for life so that you can continue each year making that income. And you don't have to sit there and be like, oh my gosh, will I be able to fill all my spots? You know, somebody leaves and you get nervous. Who's going to find me now? You'll put all those pieces in place so that you can stop playing the roller coaster of the tutoring game and you can feel a lot more at ease.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Awesome.
I know you have time for one more sneaky question. Does anyone want to be the last question of the first day of LTF4? No pressure.
Could I just ask, I'm going to stay off camera because I got absolutely drenched on the school run. So I'm not in a fit state to be on camera on your recording. In terms of like SEO, do you have any websites that you could direct us to in order to find out what those keywords are?
Yeah, Uber Suggest is my absolute favorite one. Ubersuggest. Uber Suggest. It's by Neil Patel. And you can do 3 free searches a day, but he even has like a training course on how do you do SEO. I also teach people how to do it like from a teacher tutor perspective, because I feel like even his tutor, like his explanation of how to go about it is very long-winded and um confusing, let's just
Okay.
say. I haven't heard many people who've been able to go through and be like, oh, totally got it on the first go of me like learning how to do that. So yeah, connect with me. Once you sign up and you play the game of tutoring, you go to onlinetutorcoach.com